Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I missed the clicker. Oh, here it is. My name is Maarten van Dijk. I'm the Managing Director of SkyNRG. I will tell you something about the carbon challenge in aviation and about our company and what we're trying to do there. This is a snapshot. Regular Tuesday morning, business as usual, somewhere in the world, planes flying everywhere. This means that we have a serious challenge as an industry and as a global economy. We're relying heavily on aviation, and fairly so. I think Rickert said it correctly, aviation brings a lot of good to the world, but we have to make sure that we do it in a responsible way. If we look at the top line, that's the business as usual scenario for carbon growth in the industry. If we then see the industry ambitions, 50% reduction by 2050, that means there are only limited options to do some deep impact reductions for the aviation sector. Better planes, smarter routes, better infrastructure leaves a big block of carbon reductions that need to come from somewhere else if we keep growing in the way it's happening right now. Additional technologies, hybrid and electricity, I think it's essential. If we can get to full electric planes as soon as possible, I think, even for my company that's in the fuel space, it's perfect. If I have to declare bankruptcy in 2040 because everything is 100% electric, I will open a bottle of champagne. But I think everybody understands that we need liquid fuel for the foreseeable future, and let's make that fuel sustainable aviation fuel. We need a lot of fuel, 250 million tons by 2050. That's an insane number. If you know that today the total production capacity is 10,000 tons. To get fuel, we need production facilities. You need to make the fuel out of resources. A lot of reports, scenarios, and advice to government, policies, but in the end, we need production units to produce the fuel. Government plays an essential role. Today, there's almost no government mandate or incentives to really help scale up this market. Norway is a leading example. Some of the other countries that you see on the list are there as well, and there are more and more countries thinking about how can we help the transition to a more sustainable aviation. The government input means change is coming. Our company has been involved in sustainable aviation fuel from the start of the industry, even pre-start. So 2009, we started. KLM Airlines, one of the shareholders, and we've come a long way. So we supplied more than 30 airlines over all continents. We're selling to corporate customers, involving stakeholders like airports, governments, individual travelers, building up programs to aggregate demand. And with that demand, we enable something in the supply chain. First commercial volumes in 2011, first pipeline deliveries in 2016 and 17, first European flights, and now we're looking to build the first European production facility for sustainable aviation fuel. This is the company, 4 blocks. Let me focus on this one, a direct supply line, driven by the need for more production capacity. I think Rickert rightly said, there is a shortage of this fuel. There's more demand than supply. Every airline that we work with says, can you get me more fuel? We want to sell it to our customers. But if you don't have the supply, it's quite hard to sell. And that's what we realized in 2016. So we set out to build the first European production unit fully dedicated to sustainable aviation fuel. We're not building a unit that can switch under market conditions to diesel road transport, chemicals, or whatever makes more money. Our fuel will be 100% going to the aviation sector that needs this fuel. This announcement was made in mid-2019. This is not a slide. It is a slide, by the way, but it's not a slide that I put out here as a sort of a pipe dream. All contracts have been signed, investments have been raised, fuel has been sold. We're currently in the FEED phase, which means the engineering phase of this production unit. It will be built in the north of the Netherlands. We have a location, the plot is currently being laid out, the technology and the engineering firms are working hard. We will build this unit. I have a small video to show. I mean, I can say all I want, but I have a small video detailing out what it is, what it will run on, and where the fuel will go. And I was told to keep it relatively short, so I'm basically running through my presentation. Someone needs to start this in, I think.
Considering the continued growth of the aviation industry and related carbon emissions, the sector needs to become more sustainable. A lot is being done in the Netherlands already to reduce fossil jet fuel use, including flying lighter, more efficient routing, and cleaner planes. But the biggest impact? Replacing fossil fuels with sustainable aviation fuel. As this new fuel is not yet available on a large scale, we are building a sustainable aviation fuel plant in the Netherlands, the first of its kind in Europe. The plant will be ready in 2022, running solely on regional organic waste streams such as used cooking oil and residue streams from other industries. With the use of green hydrogen, the plant will produce the most sustainable aviation fuel in the world. On top of that, bio-LPG and naphtha are produced. Supply to the airport will be done through existing infrastructure, allowing planes to fly on sustainable fuel. Compared to conventional kerosene, sustainable aviation fuel reduces CO2 by over 85% and has a positive impact on local air quality. With this new plant, we're contributing to a sustainable future for aviation and a circular economy.
Thank you. So, real plans, real fuel, real impact. And I think this is our first. It's called DSL1, direct supply line number 1. But that doesn't mean it has to stop with one. We're active in Sweden, Denmark, Norway, but also other regions, in countries in Europe, other regions in the world, to take the model that helped enable investments into this unit, transpose it into other regions to help scale the industry for sustainable aviation fuel. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maarten. But the question we're all asking, of course, is will there be enough bioresources to fill what we need?
I think that's a great question. There are sort of two levels to this. One, are there enough resources to fill this production unit, to actually enable the business case for this production plant? And the answer is yes. That's what makes it investable. Is there enough of this type of feedstock to accommodate for the full transition in the aviation sector? No, of course not. That would be really bad. If we have so much used cooking oil that we could transition the full aviation sector on that waste stream, that wouldn't be good. So we need everything, right? There's a lot of effort being made in new conversion pathways, already approved for use in commercial aviation and scaling, or in the pipeline to be approved for use in commercial aviation, that take a large variety of different feedstocks. Agricultural residues, forestry residues, specific industrial waste streams, CO2 as a resource. Everything's being looked at, and I think the aviation sector as a whole, we need it all. And we need electric flying, and we need smarter routing, and maybe even, and although there's some airlines speaking here as well, maybe we need a little bit of less flying as well. There's nothing wrong with that, to think about what we're doing. So in the end, I think we're up for the challenge, but it's a collective effort. So it's not just the airlines, and it's not just the government, or the technology suppliers, or the OEMs. We need to come together, and everybody needs to contribute in a way that's in their own strength. And then you can materialize projects like we've done in the Netherlands, where everybody is involved, everybody takes a piece of the risk, and something real happens.
Thank you very much. Give them a warm applause.